Good morning. Letter 95. Dear Jer and Rob, I know I should do this more often, but I'm so busy, you know, ducking the virus, growing the grass, walking the dogs. But and I don't want this to end because the end is the end is the end. Uh, so maybe I'll drag it out a little bit. But I do this when I can, when I'm real comfortable, like now. Got the dogs in one hand and a lighter in the other. In the garage, looking at the green grass at home, hoping everybody's well up north. So this back to the story, and don't forget the money trail. The money trail's still going on while I'm, you know, upstate, goofing around with the boys and doing this and that. Uh, every month I had 1,200 coming in the mail. My truck payment, I had to get a new truck, and Blazer was nice, and the payments were 350, but I was making 1,200 a month, so everything was cool. And I think I got the little shipping job or something, or the car wash, and I was 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Then the JWBs after Endless Sea. Which was crazy. Berto and I started a little band, a white rap band, just white boys, JWBs. Uh, but I had to change that for political correctness reasons to Jam with Bees. When we did a gig at the Smith Haven Mall, that's me with the mic with my JWBs MC Hammer pants on, and we tore it up at the Smith Haven Mall with a chorus of kids behind us. Mr. Lawrence P on the piano in the middle of the Smith Haven Mall. We did Hey Jude. The whole crowd had grandparents singing with kids. It was beautiful. We did the whole JWB's 4 or 5 songs, which I think I have up here already. If not, they're coming. And the exciting things coming. I started doing kids characters parties. The guy in the Marlboro shirt up there was my favorite shirt ever until it disintegrated. Uh, Toned it down and became a eventually Batman, Spider-Man, Pirate Bob on the bottom left with my minions around me, fascinated by the pirate tales I was yarning. That's a whole show. And how was I feeling in these days? I was doing pretty good. I was over the both the accidents, and I had $1,200 a month coming in the mailbox, and I had all my bros. But people started getting hooked up and married and stuff, and Endless Sea, the great band, dismembered because is that the correct term? Who cares? And dictionary, and because the lead singer May got impregnated by the roadie, Mr. B, Berto, and Roberto and I started the JWBs. We went to New Jersey. We went to the state capitol in Trenton, New Jersey, and did a JWB show. Songs of hope. I will just say no to drugs. Freedom Fighter song. She says I love you song. And I'm not perfect to the core song, which I pitched to the Marines and they didn't take it. Rap was too early. Now all their commercials are rap songs. I was way ahead of our times. And we did a show on the state capitol Trenton steps with the politicians who hired us and paid us travel expenses, like $150 to go to Trenton. And we did, Berto and I, and we did a show, and 1,000 young, mostly African American kids came marching down the avenue in Trenton, New Jersey, and we're at the end of the rally, and we were the rally, and the politician looks at me and he says, "Play," like a politician would. And I was ready. We had it pre-recorded. I invented singing on top of stuff. We had everything pre-recorded and played it, and we sang and played on top of it in case anything messed up. It kept going. and it was brilliant. And the kids came up and swarmed us. I had three or four congas and a cowbell. They all started playing them. These kids were throwing down beats that I couldn't even care to match, and it was crazy. And we had the whole crowd singing our song. No, just say no, no. It was stupendous. And after the thing, I hear the politicians say, "I need a drink." After the anti-drug rally, classic, and great stuff like that was happening. 85, 86, 87, 88, I guess, 89, hike. So, where was I living in these days? I was still, at like 21 or 22 or something, 23 at mom and dad's. And then I left mom and dad's and I moved in with Nelson in Sayville, crazy guy who worked at King's with me. And I was working with my brother Hank, all county at King's. We ran the place, High-Low Masters. Brother Peter was the freezer master. Brother Gerard was also a warehouse master and a driver and a salesman. And living in Sayville, had my caddy. First I had the caddy, then I had the blazer. Oh, because Spider was getting out of college in Manhattan, and he invented the sneak up and kill you game. So we had to go pick him up in Manhattan. You know, Gomez, Larry, Lush, maybe, I forget who, to go. I got to put signs in front of me so I don't say names. We go to Manhattan to pick up Spider from college, and we're playing luckily this is way before 9/11. We're playing the sneak. We got to sneak up on him and touch him before he sees us when he comes out of graduating college in the middle of Manhattan. And there's like a little park with the bedrock rock exposed across the street, and we're all spread out like army men, laying down guys. You know what a laying down guy is in an army man? Come on, it's in my chest, my Charmy men set. I'm going to show you someday. I'm going to make my brother Hank. I made my brother Hank chest with army men. I invented it. Copyright 90, 2000, whatever it is. So Spider's graduating. We're all spread out like army men in Manhattan, and here he comes. He comes out across, 4-lane, avenue or something, and we're all trying to invisibly walk across the street and blend in. If anybody's watching us, they'd think it was a SWAT team, and I don't know if we got him or not. Probably not. He was pretty hyped up, and before Spider graduated, I set it up that I rented a house. I moved out of Nelson's. Renting a room from Nelson and Sayville. I moved to Selden on Nelson Avenue, it says on one end of the street, and Nelson Road on the other end of the street. So which is it? I never learned. On Nelson and Selden connects the great roads of Boyle and Magnolia and major cut through, and mine anyway. And from my dad's friend at the Knights of Columbus, my dad knew everybody in town. From Knights of Columbus, his widow, Mrs. Somebody, Mrs. B, and great house with the tall grass behind it and a lot of land. And I never told. Did I tell you the story? No, I didn't tell you the story. I erased it because I named names. But anyway, when I set it up so that we had the house already, Spider and I were going to split it, and eventually Doobie too. We're going to rent the house. So I had to, deposit down. I had the house ready. So when Spider got out of college, we snuck out. We snuck up on him in the city, grabbed him, and we go back and we moved into this great house on Nelson. And I had the black Blazer. I used to wash it every night, and we were there for a while, and the checks were coming to the mailbox. $1,200 a month, without doing nothing, and not even touching the principal. And one day the checks stopped coming. How many times does the monkey open the mailbox? 20,000 in studies. No checks. What the hell? So I had to call the financial advisors, and the phone was rerouted to their lawyer in Centereach. Poor guy. I won't say his name. And thank you. And he says, "Oh, the company went Chapter 11." I'm like, "What the f is Chapter 11? Look it up. Boy, you should know what Chapter 11 is." And he said they're in Israel recuperating. I says, "Recuperating? I didn't even get my hands on them yet." And so I faked my way into his office the next day. I called and said I wanted to come in and talk about buying land. And boy, they whisked me right into his office because they thought I'm too smart, too dumb, too evil, too good. Um, they whisked me right into his office. And he's like, "Oh, Mr. Atakis, you want to buy some land?" I says, "No, I want to know what happened with my investment, with your clients, the bastards." He's like, "Oh, how dare you?" He says, "Well, since you're here's the properties that you own, and blah, 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 blah. And Chapter 11, blah, 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 blah." And so it turns out Chapter 11 is you don't get your money. They don't have to pay anybody, and they're going to reorganize. I had to learn all about this crap because after Chapter 11 comes Chapter 7. Chapter 11 gives you a chance to reorganize somebody else to take over your defunct company. So now I'm not getting checks and have to, I had my little shipping job, making $200 a week or something. So I had to regroup. And after enjoying the crap out of that house with Spider on Nelson for a while, I had to I had to move back in with mom and dad, and God bless, and trade in the Blazer at Usted Chevrolet, who I hate. They're on my lipstick list, and I had to trade in my Blazer and take a beating on it to get a Nova, I think. Yeah, something, oxymoronic like that. I got whatever I got, a Pinto or I don't know, a Chevy something. So I blew it up eventually. And I had to move back with mom and dad and start over because the checks stopped coming. And you know what you do, sons, Sharon and Rob? You deal with it. What are you going to do? So I learned all about financial planners. It takes no credentials whatsoever to call yourself a financial advisor. No offense if you're a good one. And, they were getting major kickbacks from this second mortgage company. And if you look up a second mortgage company, after the fact, it tells you that the average lifespan of a second mortgage company is like 6 or 7 years because they're robbing Peter to pay Paul. It doesn't work out. So, you're not going to get 18% interest in reality for long, in those days even. So I had to regroup and start over, and I did it without him, F y'all. And I had to wait now a couple of more years. I have the patience of gravel. I had to wait for bankruptcy court to play its course. And I actually went to I actually went to one of the hearings, the bankruptcy hearings, and I was getting correspondence from somebody that got in trouble for corresponding with us, all the investors. He told us, "Listen, the lawyers for the company Chapter 11 and the lawyers for the new company and the lawyers for everybody comes in the same car. They're all on the same side." And he got in trouble for that, but it got out to us. And so I go to one of the hearings in Hauppauge, and I go barefoot making a statement because, I was fucking poor now because of these idiots. And some old couple, weirdly, at the end on the way out, they looked down at me and they said, "You're barefoot." I said, "Yeah, I'm an artist. I'm making a statement." And they looked at me almost indignantly and they said, "We're artists too." And I could have said, "Yeah, but you got shoes on, ain't you?" But I didn't. And then I almost bumped into the Mr. and Mrs. B in the hallway. I could have accidentally tripped and just taken them out, but I didn't. Sister, I ignored them and held my tongue. And it turns out I had an opportunity 3 or 4 friggin' years later. Friggin', I just invented friggin', B-A. Friggin' years later, I had the option to sign up and accept the new company that's taking over, or take 62.5% of my investment and run and never see these people again. Ah, another major decision. You know, you're in your 20s, bros. You know, from 16 to 22, 6 years, so much stuff happens, so much stuff changes. I don't remember it all, but I'm trying. And you got to make decisions. Nobody to ask. Do you want to take, 62.5% of, your 75,000? That's all you had left from the original settlement. They had mismanagedly depleted everything else. When I went to them for money, they would close out more secure, lower interest things, and I would even pay penalties. But they always kept my money in the high interest thing, and like they acted like they couldn't touch it, and they couldn't touch it because they already got their kickback for it. Urgh. So be careful who you invest your money with, y'all. I still haven't figured that out, who to trust. Um, my grandfather said, "You trust your wallet and your family." No. So I chose to take, 62.5% of my investment and get away from these people before I snapped. And I met somebody later on in life at a karaoke bar, the Blue Lizard Lounge or something, who stayed with them, who chose to stay with them, and she had just about gotten her money back 20 years later. So anyway, I chose the 62.5%, and that's one of the times that I've encountered that when you sign, you hate your own name as you sign. As I'm signing my name, I'm losing like $25,000 just by signing my name. I'm giving it to these creeps, but I you know put on my big boy pants and signed the thing and hated my name, and I lost $25,000, and I finally got back like the last $49,000 of my 63K settlement. Uh, what I could have did, I went to the city one time, to the World Trade Center when it was still there and scarily, and I went up and I met with some guys, some finance. My lawyer turned me on to these investors, and they said, "Give us all your money, and you can't touch it for 7 years, and we'll double it." And I was like, I might need to touch some of it. I should have gave them freaking something because that market has tripled since then. Hello. So I didn't. I went with the bumpkins out in Lake Grove, and who screwed me. But I had my 49, and I had gotten married before that without that money. I was proud of that, and I did this and that and the other thing, and whatever that means, and that just blurted out, and that's where the money trail went while I was 25 and trying to do my thing, and got married, and started doing the costumes. Somebody asked me to do a Batman as a favor for uh, a 4 year old's birthday party in Riverhead, and they knew somebody that had a Batman suit, and he had gotten too heavy for it. He had bought it for Halloween, so I borrowed the Batman suit. I put it on, and I went out to Riverhead, and I had to entertain these 20 or 30 little beautiful African American kids and who loved Batman. Batman was making a resurgence. Every time a movie came out, there was a resurgence. And what do? I invented stuff on the spot. We played Duck Duck Goose, which was Batman, Batman, Joker. Red Light, Green Light, which was Batman, Batman. Can I take a step? And I brought a rope and we did tug of war. I got 20 minutes out of that rope. Boys against the girls, girls against the boys, everybody against me, you against me. I tied them up. I let them tie me up. I would line them up on the rope. The parents used to say, "Boy, I got to get one of those ropes," because I would say, "Last one on the rope's a big fat stinking rotten egg," and they would run for their lives for the rope. Robert was in my car and listened to a whole show one time because he didn't want to come in, and he sat in the shade over the fence of the yard, and I did the whole, one of my Batman, Spider-Man, or Power Ranger shows, and I would line them up on the rope, and we do karate and this and that and the other thing, and I do the balloons on the bottom with the pirates. I'm doing the balloons. I would make, dogs and cats and elephants and snakes, and I had jokes and questions and the same jokes over and over and over and over. And I come out after the gig and I says, "Oh, did you hear that?" He's like, "Every word." That was adorable. I had to write that all down for Jeremy one time, who I was away, and they had an emergency Batman need at a party, and I wrote these directions down for Jeremy, and he went and did a Batman, and I'm so proud of him. Yeah, in my 25-year career, I did like 5,000 kids parties. I probably hold the record, but we can never advertise because of trade right stuff. So I did them all. Purple Dinosaur, Sesame, Disney, you know, Batman, Spider-Man, Power Rangers. I did. It was amazing career, amazing. I actually even did. The money was great, but I really, in the end, I wasn't even doing it for the money. Sometimes it cost me more to go do it than I made, but it was just so much fun. I mean, making kids smile. Uh, and so with the 49,000 out of that, we put a big down payment on a house in Selden, a little house in Selden, and had a nice, beautiful house and low mortgage, and here comes Robert and Jeff, and I'll continue another time. It's a June Saturday, June 6th, 2020. I hope everybody's well. Love you, boys. Peace.